What's going on, guys? Vegito here, and this video was originally supposed to go up on June 21st, but due to some complications, that was not able to happen. So it basically acts as a late 1-year anniversary present into the channel. And this is a Redux revival. Well, for those who don't know what Redux means, it's kind of like a fancy way of saying revival, like how salutations is a fancy way of saying hello, of my first what if, being, what if I was in My Hero Academia? So, let's go ahead and discuss myself for this what if, since there are some changes from the first version. Let's go and start with my quirk, which I will have the Omnitrix. You're probably wondering why I have the Omnitrix as a quirk, so I'll explain. In this what if, Ben 10 and My Hero Academia share a universe, so characters such as Vilgax, Ben, and Albedo will be in the story, to name a few examples. And I got the Omnitrix instead of Ben, since my parents were on the mission to try and keep the Omnitrix away from Vilgax. But I won't be getting the Omnitrix just yet. Birthday is March 8th, that's my birthday in IRL, so I figured it would make a lot of sense to have MHA OC share a birthday with myself IRL. My favorite food is tacos, and something else that I'll explain in a later part. So remember, there is no like goal for this part, since it's a part 1, and part 1s are usually meant to gauge interest in the series on my channel. So be sure to subscribe so we can reach 3,000 subs by the end of the year. So, enough of the shameless begging, let's get this party started. We'll start around the time that Bakugo started bullying Izuku on the playground. I decided to head to the playground to try and make some friends, since I just moved to the area a couple days ago and saw a green-haired boy getting bullied, and I thought, that's not very nice. So I decided to step in and say, hey, how have I made this a fair fight? With the blonde-haired boy saying, alright then, it's your funeral. So I would take the green-haired boy from Katsuki Bakugo and his cronies, since I managed to take some karate before I moved to Musutafu. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I would not be nearly as skilled as someone like Mr. Miyagi or Terry Silver from the Karate Kid franchise, to name a couple examples. After about half an hour, Bakugo and his cronies retreat, saying, you'll pay for this, kid! With the green-haired boy thanking me, saying, wow, thanks for saving me! I'm Izuku Midoriya, what's your name? So I introduced myself to Izuku as Vegito, and from that day forward, Izuku and I become best friends. Especially after Izuku finds out that I'm quirkless, just like him. After a few hours, it's time to go home, with Izuku asking if my parents are coming to get me. So I tell him, my parents are always away on business, so most of the time, it's usually just me at home. So Izuku takes this in and decides to tell his mom about it, which after a few days, I'm just at my house playing some Xbox. My OC is a massive Xbox fan, playing games such as Halo, Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat, and even a little Forza. As I hear a knock at my door, and it's Izuku and his mom Inko, who offers to let me stay with them till my parents get back from their business. So I agree to this. I guess I can bring my stuff from here, which Inko allows. So I load my stuff into a suitcase with things such as my Xbox and games, along with 2 controllers so that Izuku can play whenever he wants. So I ended up moving to the Midoriya apartment, and at first, sleeping on a pull-out couch. After a few months, I ended up getting my own room, which Izuku and Inko would help me decorate with various hero merchandise of mainly All Might, but also other heroes, as well as a couch and a TV, which I got from my parents' house, with my Xbox being set up with my games, and both controllers. Izuku's having an All Might skin, with mine having a Spider-Man themed skin. I love Spider-Man in real life, so I figured that my OC would have love for Spider-Man, and comics in general. Now we can skip to about a few weeks before the events of My Hero Academia begin. Izuku, Inko, and I, along with Bakugo, who Izuku and I begrudgingly invited, since Bakugo has bullied the both of us for being quirkless. Although he wouldn't bully myself as much, due to the fact I can actually fight back, unlike Izuku. Inko sends the 3 of us off to collect more firewood, which during this time we take to space, where we see 2 ships flying around on some plumber spacecrafts. With this ship, it's under attack, having some special cargo on board, with the Chimeran Hammer attacking Xylene's ship, which my dad was on, while my mom was fighting Vilgax with Max Tennyson and the rest of the plumbers stationed on Earth. with Vilgax eventually breaching Xylene's ship, with my dad deciding against Xylene's wishes to code the Omnitrix to his son's DNA, telling her that with the Omnitrix, he can become a hero. Vilgax then grabs my dad by his throat and proceeds to snap his neck like a twig. As my mom arrives, the scene sees her husband's mangled corpse. So my mom decides to write a letter, so that way they can let me know what's going on. With her putting the letter in a pair of her earrings and my dad's gloves into the pod and sends it down to Earth, which afterward Vilgax kills her, with her telling Max to accept Vegito into the plumbers when he feels that Vegito is ready. Back on Earth, Izuku, Bakugo, and I search for firewood. We see a shooting star, so I make a wish on it saying, "I wish me and my best friend Izuku can become heroes." With the shooting star being redirected towards me, so I try to outrun it, which makes a massive crater. The three of us decide to check it out and see a pod, which opens up to have some things in it, with me finding my dad's gloves and my mom's earrings. So I have Izuku hold the gloves while I put the earrings on, which luckily these are clip-ons. I also put on the gloves, with Izuku pointing out a smaller sphere here in the pod, which I examine with a watch appearing in it as it latches onto my right wrist. I'm left-handed IRL, so I thought it makes sense to have my OC had that same traits, with me being rather freaked out by the occurrence of the Omnitrix suddenly fusing itself to my wrist. It's like a symbiote. So Bakugo points out later in the pod that the Omnitrix came in, with Izuku opening it and handing it to me as I read it aloud. "Dear Vegito, if you're reading this letter, it means that the Omnitrix has gotten to you safely, but by the time you're reading this letter, your dad and I will be dead. So watch out for Vilgax. Love, your parents." I start to cry at the realization that my parents are dead and never coming back, with Izuku and surprisingly Bakugo comforting me on this. Izuku offering to ask Inko to adopt me once I get back to the campsite. On the way back to the campsite, I decide to figure out how the Omnitrix works. And after a minute, I activate the dial and scroll through the active playlist, and press down on the Omnitrix and turn to the alien you know as Diamond Head, with Izuku and Bakugo being rather surprised and saying, "Wow, what can this form do?" As I say, "I don't know, but I bet it's gonna be cool." As I manage to shoot a crystal projectile against a tree, but after about 10 minutes, the Omnitrix times out and I turn back to normal, with Bakugo saying, "That was pretty cool. Since for that one, you can shoot out crystals as projectiles, forming limbs into various weapons, and control all the crystals that you generate. I wonder what the other forms in the Omnitrix can do." We know it's called the Omnitrix since my mom told us in the letter she wrote. So after getting back to the campsite, Izuku tells Inko the news, and I show her the letter regarding the Omnitrix. However, Bakugo makes a pretty fair point that people would think it'd be pretty weird if some space watch came out of nowhere and fused to my wrist. So Izuku helps me come up with a pretty convincing lie on how I have a transformation quirk, and until I got the watch as a support item from my parents, the transformations were completely random and out of control. So the watch acts as a stabilizer for the transformations, kinda like Albedo's Ultimatrix in Omniverse. Inko, after hearing what happened from Izuku and reading the letter, decided to take me to the adoption center the next day. After a night testing out a couple more aliens, namely a blue Velociraptor type alien, or the alien you all know as Accelerate, and a ghost, or what you know as Ghost Freak. Inko arrives at the adoption center with myself and Izuku, who decides to come for moral support for his friend. After a long case, the adoption committee agrees to let Inko adopt me, as I decide to take their last name and officially become Vegito Midoriya. As Inko, Izuku, and I decide to go to my favorite taco joint to celebrate the success of my adoption, with Izuku being thrilled that him and his best friend are now brothers, with Izuku getting himself a nacho platter and Inko getting herself a couple burritos, but I ended up getting a taco platter and a couple of quesaritos. If you're wondering what a quesarito is, it's basically a burrito wrapped in a quesadilla, and it's super good. During the next few weeks, Izuku and I discovered the other 7 aliens in the Omnitrix, and Izuku suggests giving them names, which I opposed to at first, since they're not pets. Although Izuku makes a valid point of if the aliens had names, it'll be easier to call them out in battle. So we decided to do this at lunch at school, So here's the name I came up with. Heat Blast is now Nova, Accelerate is now Blur, Diamond Head is now Crystal Fist, Wrath keeps his canon name. I swapped out Wild One and Ripjaws for him and Artiguana since the two would be situational at best. Artiguana is now Flash Freeze, Forearms is now Extra Might, and Zuko thought it'd be a good to have an All Might reference in my roster. Ghost Freak is now Spectral, Gray Matter is now Cortex, Upgrade is now Overdrive, and Stinkfly is now Stench Sect. Izuku was originally trying to think of a scientific name for a dragonfly when Bakugo walked past and yelled out, "Yo, that fly stinks! What the?" Now that I have all my aliens named, we can move forward with the story with Izuku and I on our way to school and stop to get breakfast burritos. A breakfast burrito is kind of self-explanatory. It's a burrito made with breakfast food like eggs, sausage, bacon, hash browns, cheese, and jalapenos. I know jalapenos aren't really a breakfast food. I just put them in breakfast burritos to give them a little extra kick. Backdraft keeps everyone safe while Kamui Woods battles giant villain. Kamui Woods uses binding lacquer chain prison to stop the villain, but Mount Lady comes in and steals Kamui Woods' victory with her Kangen cannon. With the guy asking if Izuku wants to be a hero after he's been taking notes on Mount Lady's gigantification quirk. At school, our teacher tries to lecture us on our future, but he knows there's no point, as he knows we all want to go to the hero track. With him saying that myself, Izuku, and Bakugo all want to go to UA, with everyone laughing at Izuku except me. Nice, I tell Izuku that he'll be the best hero in the world, with Izuku thanking me for his words of encouragement. But Bakugo still blows up Izuku's notebook, with me being rightfully angry at this. So I decided to hit the Omnitrix and turn into Blur. Use my speed to deck Bakugo and his cronies in the nuts. So I tell Izuku to go on ahead and grab his notebook while we wait for the Omnitrix to time out. So, after about 10 minutes, Izuku has his notebook, and the Omnitrix is timed out. So we just have me with my favorite taco joint to help Izuku feel better. But Izuku ends up getting lost, where his interaction with the sludge villain and All Might go as canon, where All Might's almost like he can't become a hero without a quirk. So Izuku decides to go home, but on the way, he sees the sludge villain again, except he has Bakugo as a hostage. Izuku runs in to try to save Bakugo, and Cyber is seen as Death on what's going on, as he said the green-haired boy ran into danger. So All Might still saves the day, and I watch Izuku get scolded by the pro heroes. So Zuko and I head home, and I think Izuku is to go order nachos. With All Might appearing to talk to Izuku, and by extension me, with All Might deciding to train Izuku to be his successor One for All, which Izuku accepts. Under the condition that I get to train with him as well, which All Might agrees to. So the 10 months of training before the UA entrance exam begins, with All Might asking me to use all of my transformations so he can come up with things that I can improve on with them. Starting with Crystal Fist, All Might recommends I train my aim with projectiles, so All Might gets some old cans to act as targets. Wrath and Extra Might's training will consist of sparring with All Might. Nova's training will consist of learning how to control his flames so they don't cause too much collateral damage. Flash Freeze's training will consist of increasing durability. Spectral will consist of stealth capabilities. Overdrive will consist of upgrading more and more machinery, such as washing machines and refrigerators. Cortex's training will increase his battle IQ, and Stensec's training will consist of increasing the potency of his gas. And lastly, Blur's training will consist of increasing speed, strength, and durability. Anytime I'm in my human form, I help Izuku with picking up trash. And with 2 people cleaning up the trash, the beach would clean up earlier than in canon, and I'd say 8 months instead of 10. So All Might and Izuku One for All 2 months early, which allowed Izuku to have more of a control over One for All than in canon during the entrance exam. So All Might has me spar with Izuku, using Wrath and Extra Might, with All Might having Recover Girl on standby. I didn't see how Izuku is using One for All, and he's only using One for All in one lib at a time. So I point this out to him and give him the idea of full cowling, with the analogy of leaving the light switch on, since Izuku seems to be using One for All like turning on a switch. So after another month, Izuku has full cowling, which means he can use about 5% throughout his entire body, but he can't go to higher percentages at the moment without causing injury. So after about another month of training, Izuku can use One for All about 7% without hurting himself. And I'm more proficient with my aliens, especially with the likes of Crystal Fist and Nova, where I can turn crystals into various weapons. I use swords and shields, and I can use fire as Nova in more creative ways, such as be able to climb walls like an Endeavor can, and I can also use my fire without causing too much collateral damage. So myself and Izuku has the entrance exam after getting breakfast burritos, of course. So we arrived at Izuku after little trips over his own feet, and is saved by a brown-haired girl using her quirk, which appears to be a gravity-altering quirk, with her asking Izuku if he's okay, and Izuku being a nervous, flustering mess. Because even with myself around, Izuku wouldn't really have much experience with girls, so he had inside her present mic tell his rules of the practical exam, or myself and Izuku were revealed to be in the same battlefield. Since I'm replacing Mineta in this what if, and I'm not sure if it was confirmed which battlefield Mineta took his entrance exam in, so I had him be in the same battlefield as Zuko and I. So the practical exam begins as I hit the Omnitrix, turning into Overdrive. I say, Overdrive? I wanted Nova! Stupid watch! So I decided to make the best of this and find a 3-pointer with a robot, and using Overdrive's Technopath abilities, I upgraded 3-pointers defenses and weapons and systems, which allows me to destroy 10 2-pointers and 5 3-pointers. Also has some 1-pointers for Izuku to destroy. So Izuku actually managed to get 15 villain points as I time out and shut down the upgraded 3-pointer I use as a weapon, leaving myself with 38 villain points. Myself and Izuku are starting to split up and get more villain points, with myself having to steal robots stealthily, since I can't punish through anything bigger than a 1-pointer without causing injury. So when there's 5 minutes left the entrance exam, the Omnitrix times back in, and just in time too, with both myself and Izuku here to scream for help. As we decided Izuku will help the girl, and I'll take care of the 0-pointer, so I decided to hit the Omnitrix and turn his turn to Extra Might. As I jump in the air and want to imitate All Might, yell out, Detroit Smash! As all 4 arms hit the 0-pointer in the head and turn into a massive pile of scrap. As the entrance exam ends, as the Omnitrix times out a few minutes afterward. Izuku managed to get 45 rescue points, and myself 50 rescue points, meaning I received the highest score in the entrance exam, meaning 88 points. Now note, this is the practical. So afterwards we have it home, and after about a couple weeks, Inko comes in with a letter from UA addressed both myself and Izuku. Since we both have the same last name, Nezu figured it would make more sense to send one letter with holo projectors to save on paper and postage fees. So Inko saw myself and Izuku in here to get the letter, and all of us decided to read the letter in my room. So we played rock, paper, scissors to see whose holo disc we check first. With Izuku winning, as All Might says, Young Izuku Midoriya, you have been accepted into UA with 25 combat points and 45 rescue points, and a remarkable 94 on the written exam. So Izuku Midoriya, you have been accepted into Class 1A of the Hero Course. This is the next step towards you becoming the next symbol of peace. After Izuku almost floods my room with tears of joy, I guess I checked my holodisc to see if I got in too. As All Might says, Young Vegito Midoriya, you have been accepted into UA with a total of 38 combat points and 50 rescue points, giving you the highest score in the practical exam, with a 91 in the written exam as well, especially after you helped young Izuku save that girl, and even helped him get a few combat points by using your Overdrive transformation, which I know you didn't intend on turning into, which allowed you to learn more creative problem solving, and using Extra Might to take down the 0-pointer, which was very impressive. So, young Vegito, welcome to Class 1A of UA's Hero Course! With myself and Izuku celebrating that we not only got into UA, but got put into the same class. And so we told Inko the news, and she immediately begins work, making both of us hero costumes, with me giving her notes on what I want. So after a few days, Inko gives us our hero costumes, which she has to try on to make sure they fit, with Izuku's being the same as his costume Alpha in canon. but mine has a blue shirt with a white undershirt with the Omnitrix symbol on both the front and on the belt, which houses various medical supplies and small support items like smoke grenades and flashbangs. I also incorporated my dad's gloves and my mom's earrings to the costume, as well as black athletic pants and dark blue shoes. So Izuku and I head out to school for our first day at UA, and with that, I'll leave off this timeline for right now. So remember, this is the part 1, that there's no white gold for this part, since I'm trying to gauge interest for this series and other future MHA what ifs. All of you subscribed so we can get 3K subs by the end of the year, but enough of this shameless begging. I'll get on out of here. Peace!